Welcome back to another SuperCoach video with me, JD. You were joining me for the round 20 review, where Essendon season has finished, and so has my teams, more or less. We used the last trade in the week. We copped 3 bullets on team selection, so I had to use that last one, which we'll go through in a second. But with those that we did have on field, still managed to cobble together a 25.04, which was pretty good fielding a rookie. And went up 126 ranks to sitting just outside the top 1,000 now, which is pretty good. I mean, I think round 16, I want to say, I was sitting outside the top 3,000. So we've come in pretty strong over these last few weeks. And now we've just got to hope that we can get some injury luck on our side. Maybe some extra rookie selections would be handy to get us, see us through to the end, because we've still got a few rounds to go here. And with 0 trades left, that is, of course, a pretty scary position. And look, even though this 25.04 moved me up in ranks, I won just the 5 leagues out of 16, which kind of goes to show how competitive some of those are. Probably due to check those out. Actually, I haven't had a look at them for a while. Let's have a quick look at the round 20 team of the week. I want to see a 27.73. I thought there'd be some big scores, but what have they done? Yeah, got Nas in there. Sorry, my head's in the middle here, but the mids, they basically didn't have any of the low ones. Goulden 98. 99 Butters 98 was the low ones, but they had the Brayshaw 137, the Steele 136, Trelaw 146, both Cherry and Marshall. And then, yeah, forward line was kind of like stock standard. They had Hogan at F6, which is interesting. Nice. Well, congrats to Chris. Okay, so let's have a look at the side and we'll talk through the final trade. So yeah, as I mentioned, team selection, we had Fisher, McKercher, and Dawson all out. Now, Dawson we knew was coming, but really the genius in the Fisher-McKercher combo was that if one was going to be dropped, then surely the other would have to be in. But this week we found a way to go without both of them, with McKercher having soreness and Fisher having some type of foot injury. So yeah, put me in a really tricky position, because using I touched on this in last week's video, but the whole idea with Fisher is that it meant that I had cover across all of the lines. So trading him out kind of sacrifices that in some form or another, because if I put it in defense, which is what I've done, then I don't have the extra cover in the forward line, and vice versa. I could get an extra mid forward, but then defense, I've got no cover. So in the end, though, I did put it in defense, mainly because I really like Tom Stewart as an option, and that's who I traded Fish to, who delivered a 139 on debut, which is great. But it also meant that I didn't cop a 0 this week. And when McKercher's back, I'll be able to use McKercher in the midfield as well as defense. But I've got Dowling as the rookie cover in the forward line midfield anyway, as a little spare. So, and that worked out this week, the 69. Like, obviously not the best score, had a better score last week, but pretty decent, honestly. So as long as Dowling continues to play, then I've got cover across all lines. Or you'd expect, I mean, I expected Brown to come back. I was surprised that he didn't. Saad El Hawaii maybe gets a debut for us once he's fit. I mean, I think he was 2 or 3 weeks away, and we're absolutely atrocious. So anyway, yeah, so Fisher to Stewart was the trade last week. I think I talked about it as a top option for anyone that did need to make a trade. And then, of course, my top VC of the week, which was Cherry, absolutely went off. So 151 there. I think Sheasel was a very popular option as well, especially for those who didn't have Cherry. So hopefully he jumped on, although I can understand why you wouldn't have, with the news that he was potentially laid out, some rumors circling around. And boy, that would have been an absolute killer for me if I'd had 3 Kangaroo boys all in defense go out in the same week. But yeah. All right, so then just talking through the team quickly. So yeah, Sheasel 160, phenomenal. He looked so good. I think George tweeted out over the weekend that he may start him next year, even if he was mid only. I don't know if I'd go that far, but obviously he's looked very good. And if you look at his splits, which once again, my head's in the way for these, but he's actually scored, I think, better over the back half of the year than he did at the start of the year. So he's only had like 2 of, I want to say, 8 games below like 117. Which were a 103 and a 75, and he's had like 5 of the 8 games above 120. So just phenomenal scoring, especially out of a second year. And honestly, this feels like it was better than Dacos last year. Now that, like, I may just be remembering really incorrectly there, but Dacos has basically had a generationally good first and second year, obviously until the injury. But I mean, this feels better in many ways, and maybe it is. I mean, like Dacos had like a 7-8 week period where he didn't go below like 118, and he had 4 scores above 130, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, this feels like it's matching it in many ways, and I think maybe the impressive thing is that Dacos was doing it in a premiership caliber team, where Dacos has been doing it in where Sheezel's been doing it in the bottom 3 or 4 side. And this is not meant to be a knock. It's like comparing two of the best ever first 2 seasons we've had out of a player. I think like they'd be up there challenging Oliver's. But being like Oliver's first season was no good. It was just his second one that was insane. So like really, two of the best seasons ever where they've been relevant as players the whole time. Dacos has been relevant his third year as well. Sheasel may actually struggle because he's going to probably lose DPP eligibility, would be my guess, next year, whereas Dacos kept it into his third year. But yeah, just crazy. Dacos is obviously very good as well against the Tigers. So he had something like 18 touches in the first quarter. It was a crazy amount. And then they finally decided to tag him just like every other team had decided to, but probably a little bit too late at that point, and with the game, I think, already out of hand as well. He just got free scaling for the rest of the game. So Dacos had a good game, but a lot of that good work was done in the first. It tailed off. I mean, he was still good throughout the rest of the game, and a lot of contested ball as well, which is obviously great for SuperCoach. So a nice one. I think the problem with Dacos will be that his upcoming games like Carlton, Sydney, Brisbane in the next 3. Firstly, all tough matches that they're probably going to lose just based on form. But Sincotta tag, like a Jordan or a Rowbottom tag, a Berry tag. So yeah, tough next 3 for Dacos. And then the last game against Melbourne, and you'd imagine that they use A and B to tag him, but we'll see. So, I mean, if they're out of it, they might not bother tagging. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Dacos. And I mean, surprising to see Sheasel now at D1 with a 118 average. They've both gone past Ryan, who's really fallen off. Ryan was at 130, was it? And now he's at 116. And so just on him, if you do have spare trades and you can jump off him, I think I would. He played like an Alex Pearce lockdown type role on the weekend. So we already saw a shift where they were like not doing the chippy stuff that was getting them the mega scores in the lead up to the bye. We already still didn't go away from that, but yeah, playing more accountable as well. If you do have spare trades, if you're sitting on 2-3 trades and you got Ryan in your side and you can get him to a Stewart or to like a Richards who played really well today, or you want to go speculative and go like a Newman who's got a nice fixture now, I would do that. I would get off Ryan for any of those. Yeah, Stewart was great again. This role that they've carved out for him is just really working well, where he's going into the middle and then kind of playing the quarterback role still as well. So best of contested ball and then being able to go back and intercept, defend, and it's been able to break the tags and attention he's been getting up until this point as well, which is great. I'm actually surprised that teams haven't tried to find a way to tag him through that, because he's playing phenomenally for them at the moment. But against the Crows this week, I would expect him to dominate. And honestly, that's the type of game where if it's early, I haven't looked at exactly what the fixture, like that could be a vice captain option for ceiling without having had a look at the proper fixtures. It's a Saturday Arvo game. Yeah, and we've got North against Richmond, where you can have Sheasel the vice captain option. So you're probably not, but anyway. Yeah, Martin, another game where he started really well and didn't finish particularly great, but I mean, like these mid 90s are like whatever. Him, Ryan, and Houston, like these scores are all just really frustrating in a week where like Nas went 130, you had Whitfield go 130 again. Whitfield's been phenomenal post bye. Yeah, so just losing like 40, 50, 60 points there to teams that have those of one of these, like, yeah, that hurts. Um, yeah, Ryan. I mean, Ryan is the type where if McKerch is back, if I've got a full team this week, Ryan's probably the one I'm trying to bench out of the back half of my side. What matchup do they have this week? Essendon. I mean, he probably should do okay against them, just given the state of my rubble of the side, and maybe Houston is the bench against the Swans, who I could see being tagged. But yeah, that's sad. And then yeah, Houston was good, but like, I don't know, he just seemed to fade in and out of this for me, and it really feels like what I was banging on about the start of the year. Like, I always struggled to go him because he's inconsistent. I traded into him just as we got all the inconsistencies. It was like very frustrating. It's kind of right about it, but I didn't hold out long enough. Still had some good scores in there, but yeah, like these mid 90 scores, like Martin, like it's not going to kill your side. But if you've got two of these and everyone else only has one, and instead they've got someone going 120, like you lose 30 points a week. It's pretty big over the last month of the year. Easy 100 points, like yeah. And then McKercher, hopefully that soreness was just that, and he's actually back this week. Um, Midfield, Bont, like, didn't really seem to do much in this Swans game, but didn't have to because Dogs got on top and like really killed them. I mean, same thing with English, like, 83, yuck. Ugelhagen absolutely destroyed them, and Trelaw was crazy good in that game. I traded him in 2 weeks ago in fantasy, and he's gone bonkers, like absolutely bonkers. Surprised that yeah they sent the attention to Ed Richards over like Trelaw, but it is what it is. So Ed Richards still scored a 117, by the way, off a 144 the week before. They've got the D's this week, and I think they've got Crows after, and then North. So the Bulldogs' run for the next three is really good. GWS lasts a bit harder, but yeah. So that's all saying Ed Richards is a nice little one in defense. If you can jump off Ryan, you got the trades to do. So I think Ryan to Richards, Stewart, like yeah, you're cooking. Nice little luxury trade there for those that are going to be rewarded for holding. Butters and Rosie, this port game, very disappointing. So Butters got the attention of the two of them being like tagged by Sincotta, and I thought it'd be okay because Rosie should then have popped a good one, but he didn't. And like Butters was okay to be tagged and score 100, like you take that. Goulden, I think he had a much better fantasy game than he did SuperCoach game, so didn't do much in the first quarter when the game was on the line. So scaling kind of going to work against him. And then Swans didn't play particularly well. Also missed like a couple of shots at goal that he could have kicked. So anyway, another 100. He's been a great pickup for what we paid for him, but yeah, frustrating because definitely feels like the type of player every week where I'm saying like, oh, negative ratio, and he could have gone 140, and it feels true. But still, like he's been very good since being picked up. Merritt, what I've blacked out. What happened? Who did Essendon play? What was that game? Saints. That's right. Who did he get tagged by? Like Stocker or some random was putting attention into him. But I mean, yeah, I think we're seeing the effects of trying to carry like 21 players every week. Look, still put up 106, so it is what it is. This week, Freo tough matchup. I think Fife got suspended, right? And like Freo haven't been tagging. Am I right in saying that Freo haven't been tagging? I'm trying to think. Like they might have used like Matty Johnson, who's what injured in the past. They could bring in like an Erasmus or someone to tag Merritt. Be weird to do that, but they could. Otherwise, maybe Merritt gets to like a free run this week. Not that it matters because we should get like smashed pretty painfully, but yep. And then Sarong, yeah, like annoying pickup. At least the last 2 weeks have been okay. 111's like whatever. Rose we talked about. Green, yep, just okay. He's just ticking along. Yeah, yep. I mean, I think the thing that's killing me in these midfielders, is like these are a little bit like the defenders, right? That all of these, apart from Rosie, all like the 98 to 110 range. Like that is just no ceiling scores this week. So what there would have been, there was a lot of mids like that, right? That didn't really hit ceiling, but not having a Dunkley or a Neil who put up big games again, that's probably the one that hurts there. Trelaw wouldn't be very highly owned. Matty Roberts, it was a huge game. Brayshaw had a very good game. Yeah, Steele I already mentioned as well, but he's a bit of a fraud. Just helped that he was up against a very fraudulent Essendon side. Yeah, so none of the popular mids really had that big of a week outside of the two Lions players. Okay. And then yeah, we had to play Dowling over Dawson. So hopefully Dawson's back this week. Crom got absolutely destroyed without him, and they've got Cats this week, which have been giving up good points to mid. So hope we can get that online. Yeah, Cherry, amazing, so good, so good, so good, so good, so good. Worthwhile reminding people that I started him in my fantasy side last year when he got injured Q1 of round one. I would have won the whole bloody thing if Cherry hadn't got injured. I mean, it was Cherry, Josh Kelly, and Bytel all in round one. I think Bytel actually had a massive game as well for the Pies as well, showing a bit of his potential. But yeah, like that's just killer. Just reminder. So yeah, he was obviously great this week. Nank, please wait out another week so Cherry can go huge again. I think that would be ideal, but probably not going to happen. And then yeah, English a bit disappointing. I mean, he's up against Grundy on that SCG ground, but like yeah, I expected better than this. Missed his shot at goal. And then the forwards like Flanders, Orko, cooked. Caldwell was all right. Heaney was okay given the game. Jackson, I didn't get to watch a ton of it, but like 73. He was on a much worse score than that, so I actually salvaged that somehow. And then Colonel, I did get to watch and played a great game without Mackay in the side. Yeah, really able to work up the ground a bit more, which is where he probably does some of his best Supercoach scoring, to be honest. So yeah, yeah, a huge 120 will take that up against the Pies this week, which we don't mind at all. I don't know what his history's like against them, but I imagine it's decent. About 59 this year when Pies still playing all right, then 137, 109 last year. So hopefully we can get a good game out of him. Okay, so I guess like I spoke about luxury trades and defense. What other luxury trades would you be doing if you could? Um, I haven't looked at fixtures to be perfectly honest. So in the rucks, I think like Cherry is decent. English, I'd probably like consider trading out of if I had luxuries. He's got good rucks the rest of the way. So like Gorn, Rob, Cherry, Briggs. I mean Briggs is okay to score on. Gorn, I think he's got decent history on, but and like the dogs should win some of these matches, but as you saw today, like a big win doesn't necessarily mean good scores for Timmy English anymore. So I could see people maybe wanting to jump off him for something like Marshall. The problem is Marshall's got McInerney this week, who's been like restrictive in the past, not always, but like generally is. So maybe you want to weigh it off. But if you already had say Marshall and you didn't have Cherry, I could see people like wanting to still jump on Cherry for the rest of the run home. So yeah, Nate coming off concussion this week, Eagles the week after. Scroll down. English and then Meek, who I think gave up a decent score to Rob today, or at least was. Not sure how that finished up. So, yep. In the mids, I mean, I think it's still got to be like effectively. I think like jumping off anyone that looks like they're going to get tagged the rest of the way home would make sense too. Oh, and like, I like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could jump off Dacos, even though he's probably going to get tagged the rest of the way home. Sarong, so he probably won't get tagged this week against Essendon. Might not get tagged against Geelong, so you probably can hold him for the next two. Maybe he's on a trade out target. Butters is probably one that you'd be a bit of a concern with. So Swans this week, D's, Crows. I mean, D's, Crows should be okay, and then Freo. So it's probably just this week against the Swans, so maybe not him. Mary going to get tagged the rest of the way? I don't know. Maybe people just let Essendon do what they want to do. I mean, Freo this week probably not tagged. Gold Coast week after probably not tagged, but then the final two he would be. So maybe I'd hold fire on trading out any of these types this week. But if I was still going to jump on a mid, I think like Trelaw for a point of difference with the Dogs fixture makes a lot of sense. I could also then see like one of the Brisbane Lions, and it probably wouldn't be Neil, it'd be Dunkley, just because of the tag risk. I think, oh, by the way, if you got like Walsh, I'd be fine jumping off Walsh. If you've got LDU, probably just hold, because like Richmond, West Coast Dogs, I think that's all right. Next three. Yeah. And then forwards. So I think for me, like the top six forwards you want to have are like Flanders, Zorko, Caldwell, Heaney, Moore. And then after that, it's still a bit of a raffle on who's like F6. Like LJ is like good for cover, but I wouldn't trade him in just for that reason. If you had spare trades, I'd like hold on to him rather than doing luxury. Kerno might have another big week, but if you've been watching for like the month now, you know he's very up and down, so I'm not sure I'd count on that. Connor McDonald was good. Shout out to George, who's been in for a very long time. Simpkin had another good week as well, and actually the North midfield run is good, as kind of pointing out with LDU over the next couple. So don't know if I could trade into him, but yeah, he's all right. So honestly, I still think I'd be going those like making sure you got the big dogs, Flanders, Orko, Caldwell, Heaney, and then more. And if you've got any of like Luke Jackson, Myers, Kerno, whoever at F6, like just leave it as that. I wouldn't luxury trade there. I don't think you're going to get enough bang for buck. In fact, if anything, you're probably waiting for Rankin's return, which is what, this week? 18, 19, 20, 21. No, it's the week after. So I'd be holding a trade and getting him as the clear top six for the last few games. Although, what's their fixture like? What's the Crows fixture like for the last couple after this one? because this is obviously a nice one. So dogs, Port, Swans. It's actually not great. Yeah, so that's a tricky one. But I mean, he's had a month to freshen up. You'd hope that his head's in the game and he comes home strong. Although it's not like Crows have got much to play for. All right, that's some luxury trades and ideas. Setting up this week for me. So what are we gonna do? I think it's going to be very hard not to VC Sheasel, although I could see them running like a Baker or someone like that on Sheasel for the game. But I still think, just given what we have to see, you probably have to put the VC there, especially given what Dacos did to them this week and like let him run around for a quarter. The captaincy's a little bit harder. Let's have a quick look. So Dogs D's. I mean, Bont VC in that matchup feels like it could make a lot of sense. And then do I have the faith to put the C on Sheasel? Not sure. Not sure. West Coast, Gold Coast. If that was at Gold Coast home, then you got like you had an Anderson. I could see a VC there, but probably not. Crom, Cats. I mean, really, it's like Dawson. He hasn't been in the form. Coming off concussion, I would not be looking there. Collingwood, Carlton, Dacos is going to get tagged, and I don't think you can reliably captain either of the Carlton boys at the moment. Swans, Port, no, wouldn't touch any of the Port boys. I wouldn't touch Goulden either, so I think I'd stay away from that one. GWS Hawks, Tommy Green, I don't think I could reliably put the C on. It should be an interesting game, actually, that one with the form the Hawks are in. And GWS finding a bit of form too. Actually be a really fun game, I reckon, to watch. Freo against Essendon. I mean, I guess if you had like a Brayshaw, I think I'd be like reasonably comfortable with that. Sounds weird, but I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do Caldwell, Merritt, Sarong either, nor Martin. And then that leaves St Kilda, Brisbane as the last game. Now, I think, is this the game that we all went Zorko C and he absolutely like went crazy earlier in the year? Is this the one? He went a 141 on them. Oh, sorry, it could have been even bigger, but it didn't. So like Zorko's in good form, so I could see that. Neil, I probably wouldn't. Dunkley is kind of interesting, but I do see the C as being a little bit trickier this week. If you got who's Marshall? Yeah, I wouldn't go Marshall in that game either. What's Bont's track record like against the D's? Not that it really matters because we're looking at a different D side at the moment. I mean, this is like once again, if you're doing luxury trades, you're getting like Treloar and you can VC Treloar. I think like that feels very fun this week. Um, I already mentioned like Stewart against the Carlton seems interesting too. Do I have more faith in Stewart than Sheasel at this point? I mean, we've just been talking about how good Sheasel's last 2 weeks have been. Stewart's, yeah, probably not, and he's got injury risk as well. So maybe it's like VC Bont, C Sheasel's how we'll start for this week. Now, McKercher is one that I would be keen to see. I've got the Reed loophole, so maybe we put the emergency on McKercher, see how he scores, and then sub Ryan off if we like what McKercher's doing, or sub Ryan off. And then we've got Dowling to use somewhere. We've got Kerno to use. I mean, let's just see. We'll just pop that on there for now. Dowling. I play relatively early, and I can't use McAuliffe. I could use Sard. So. Yeah, I guess the question is like if he's my only loophole, where do I loop in? I'll probably loop him in the forward line, and then potentially loop off Kerno or Jackson. I mean, Kerno against Collingwood, I like a fair bit. So maybe it's Jackson we take off. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe we don't take anyone off, and that's why Dowling stays in the midfield there. All right, so if I hit the optimize button, what can it give me this week? A 2-4-5-8 for those playing at home, but that hasn't got Dawson in there because he's still considered injured. Now, I actually want to undo that because I don't know. It's got Flounders now in the midfield. Gross. But there you go. That's how I'm traveling for week. That's how I'm going to set up. Get that on there. So yeah, VC Bont, C Sheasel, they didn't move. So is that what's projected as the highest? Oh, how interesting. SuperCoach Gold run the save wavelength. That's actually kind of scary. I don't know if that's a good thing. Ugh. All right, and I said we'd quickly check the leagues. Let's see how they're going. I have not looked at them much at all this year. So rankings for leagues, 20 teams. All right, we're actually sitting in second, which is good. Oh, we're only 100 points away. How many did we catch up this week? Oh, we put on like over 800 on SCS. Okay. So FTTV1, like that's looking good. That's looking like it's gonna get there hopefully and win the 20 team league again. 18, the hot house is in P2. What sandwiched by Big Footy and DRC. Big Footy, surprising. But I guess it's like their top league for it, right? We put on 800 points. We are 500-ish behind. So we might actually catch them too. So there's a chance we catch 18 and 20. Oh, yeah, with McGovern out, right? Yeah, I wonder how many teams have got McGovern and like can't trade him. And we got 6. We do. Okay, we're leading 6. Not by much though, and they caught up this week. Those Gamba degens. Don't Gamba kids. Not good. And second on 8-man. All right. So like, look, I'm not in like we don't enter many leagues into these, right? This is just like one league that I put together for each of these things. We're right up the top of all of them, which is good. So Cord's doing well. People are doing well. Hopefully we'll get a top 1,000 finish, which would be, I think, pretty salvageable result given where we're at this year, kind of floating around no man's land. But let me know how you're going. If you do have trades that you're mulling over, feel free to hit me up as always. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.